All right, thank you so much, Judicael. Thanks for meeting us. So you moved recently from Paris to San Francisco. So could you tell us a little bit more about what's the differences in the cultural scene to Paris, San Francisco compared to Paris?
It's very difficult to see. I mean, at the beginning I was thinking it would be very different because it's a new country, new place, less central than Paris, of course. But in fact, I would say that the students I have now, I have like 14 students, they are pretty much, I mean, the same kind. I mean, it looks not so nice to say the same kind, but I mean, they are young people, very talented, and most of them, even if some of them have just studied in US, they have a very international background because they have seen any kind of guitarist from everywhere in the world. So the background is pretty similar. The age is the same, so it's not so different.
Mm-hmm. And how's it for you living here? Did you need to adapt, or are you still in the process? Or?
I'm still in the process because I'm there for 1 month and a half. But also, I mean, the city it's much smaller than Paris, of course. Not the size is the same, but there are less people. But it's also not so different because this is San Francisco.
Mm-hmm.
I've been in many places in US and it would have been much more different in most of the city, maybe except New York and a few other cities. One of the things which is very similar is it's possible to walk.
Okay.
And for me, it's something very important because I don't drive first, and second, even if I were driving, which is not the case, I don't have a driving license. I don't like so much the idea of moving from a place to another place by car.
Mm-hmm.
So. It's not so different because it's a very international city like Paris, except it's smaller, and the students they are pretty much the same. I mean, there are quite a lot that come from Europe.
Mm-hmm.
There is about half of the studio who has a European background.
Wow.
So now I have like 14 students, and I guess there are like maybe 6 or 7 who did most of the things in Europe.
Mm-hmm.
So it's the same thing.
Okay, cool, great. So I read your Wikipedia article about you, and at some point it says that you, age like 10 or 11, suddenly understood how to technically play the guitar.
Yes, not consciously, but I don't know. I guess I remember kind of precisely. I had to learn, some small pieces each week from my teacher, and one day, I don't know, because I was very, very reluctant to do this, and one day, I don't know, but I was just able to read all the pieces of the book that I was supposed to do in 2 years probably. So I was able to do that inside reading. I remember that, which is kind of funny because I'm not very good inside reading now, but at least at this time in comparison of my level, I was very good.
So no exercises, scales, etudes, whatever, just...
Nah, I never did that. I really didn't do. I had some teacher who did some tries, but I was never doing that at all. Never. Any kind.
Awesome, interesting. I heard you, I think, speak in an interview about how you were, since an early age, interested and fascinated with classical music, which is quite unusual. So I was just wondering, what are like particular artists that you could remember that inspired you most, or kept a young boy basically, which is quite unusual?
When I was a young boy, from 7 to 14 years old, I was listening classical guitar. So it was the only music I was listening. I wasn't listening other kind of music, but classical guitar. So there were all those players like Roberta herself that I was kind of close because I was taking class with him. There were of course Williams, and the Assad brothers. So they were the three main people for me. They are the one who catch me with the guitar, and of course after that, when I was 13, 14, I started to listen other kind of classical music, and I started to listen orchestra and piano. So at this time it was very different, but it was different artists, and I started to really listen classical guitar with a strong exception, of course, my students and friends who record CDs, and the Assad brothers. That they are my common, that the stuff that they have in common. this is my common background with when I was young. But the main artists I listen, I would say maybe 3 or 4 of them. Mauricio Pollini, I've seen him last week actually in France in concert.
Wow.
Sviatoslav Richter, that I have maybe 400 CDs just by him because he was. There are a lot of pirates, and I've seen many times in concerts. So they are the 3 I would say the most important for me.
And those artists still inspire you to this day?
Yes, because when we talk about doing the video you do, I think they are very interesting, but for me it's not very natural because I'm very far from analyze. The thing I analyze a lot is interpretation. So I don't know, even when I was like 12 or 13, I was comparing, and it was difficult at this time to compare because now you have YouTube, but at this time you need to find the tape and copy the tape. But I was comparing note by note. I don't know where this come from. And now I have like more or less 4,000 CDs. So I don't know. For example, Beethoven Sonata, I have maybe 15 different integral. So I build all my ability to play the music and my analyze with comparing interpretation. And that's how I was able to make the connection between the theoretical things that we learn at school and the practical things which is playing. So for me, I didn't really learn the theoretical things, but let's say that I made the connection with my own playing, comparing interpretation, choosing good players, because of course if you compare a bad player and a good player, it's not very interesting. But for example, for the Beethoven Sonata, if you compare the integral by Pollini and the integral by Brendel, you have to understand, it makes me understanding even deeper the pieces by themselves, because both of them, they have a very strong point of view. Of course, nobody is wrong or right. Still, there are some I prefer by one or by the others, but yeah, that's how I build my own capacity of analyze, just listening different players and thinking.
Great. So, like, on which parameters, like when you take a new piece, right?
Yeah.
On which parameters do you build your interpretation, or what is the process of Judicael Perroy starting a new piece?
Usually, I know the pieces. I mean, I heard the pieces that I play. There's no process, in fact. I just take the piece, I play from the beginning to the end, all the time. So at the beginning I played very badly because I'm not good side reader, and I just repeat. And after a while I know it by memory. It takes a lot of time, now more because I'm older. And now for like 1 year, 2 years I write some fingering. I used to don't write anything. Usually on the past my score they were like new. Now I write fingering because I have more problem to remember because I am older, but it's still the same process. I can spend a lot of time to find the fingering because for me it's very important, the fingering of the left hand, because I have the tendency to do most of the work with the left hand. And yes, that's how it works.
Great. Let's talk a little bit about your you did a transcription, if I'm not mistaken, the C minor partita
Yeah.
of Bach. So could you tell us a little bit about?
It's not my transcription. It's a transcription by Tristan Manoukian, who is the new guitar teacher in Paris Conservatory. He took the job. He didn't took the job. They gave him the job because he won the competition. Roland Diane's left. So he's the new teacher and a very good friend. And basically the story, he did the first, he was time to time playing for me some pieces that he was doing transcription, and he played for me the first movement. And I knew this piece for ages, and I never thought it was possible to play on a guitar, never had even the idea. And when my friend played, I really wanted to play it. So that's how I decided to do the full suite. Mm-hmm. And after that I recorded and I played in concert during 1 year.
Wow, great.
Yeah.
What does it mean these days to have a career in music?
It can mean a lot of different things. In fact, this is one of the things I would like to promote to my students. There is, for example, the biggest career that they were like Brim and Williams and Segovia. So I think this will not happen anymore. I mean, a career where people are doing, I mean, Williams did other stuff, but people who are just doing purely classical without doing fancy stuff and being like them, this will never happen anymore. And it's the case with most of the instruments, in fact, it's more the same thing. Now the most famous, like Lang, they do mainly a career of musician, but they do also a lot of other stuff. Same thing with singers. So career like, I don't know, Richter, Brendel, just doing that, it's a bit different. Now, so it could be that, but there are very few people. The classical career for guitarists could be, you know, one of the best examples could be David Russell, Perroy, Roberto Hassel, Eduardo Fernandez, Diaz. They do like a huge career, long career. I mean, most of them it's more than 40 years. I mean, Diaz just did the 50 years of career. They start very young, but still. And you know, the career that the young people have more in mind, I guess, is career like the most successful, like Martin Dillon. But so those are the main big career that everybody can see and everybody can admire. But as a teacher, I have tons of students. I mean, not tons, but a lot of students. And for sure, even if a lot are really good, I mean, most of them are not going to do like marching or breathe. And so you need to promote different type of career. Career could be to play a lot of chamber music, to create a lot of new pieces. I mean, David is one of the main guy who's playing new music. So he's playing also mainstream repertoire, but he's doing chamber music. It's a different kind of career than Brim somehow. So there is this possibility. There is also early music. So what I would like, you can do a great career as a teacher. I mean, one of the things I would like to do is to promote different type of career, because a lot of people anyway can't do this biggest career, and also a lot of people don't want to do that. They don't want to be on tour. I mean, everybody wants to do that theoretically, but after that, when you become older, I mean, a lot of people wouldn't like to do that. So it's very important for me to promote career, which means doing music, teaching music, and be happy with that. So I've been very lucky in Europe to have a lot of students. So some are really known as players doing the big career, like Thomas Villotto, Gabriel Bianco, Thibaut Carcian, Florian Larousse, I don't know, you know, those names, but many others. And I have a lot of other students who don't do necessarily exactly the same concept, but they are very happy with their career because they do a lot of great stuff, very useful, and they enjoy a lot their life. And I know also some people who are doing this great career, international concert, but I don't think they totally enjoy it. I mean, at least they don't show it when they play.
Great. Because, you know, on that note, you mentioned those names. It seems like, I think there's like another teacher that has so many GFA winning students like you. So just what makes you, like, where do you think you take part in that? What makes you such an outstanding teacher? It's a super common question.
I've thought a lot about that. I mean, one of the main reasons, and it's really not modesty, is all those guys. I mean, I think it's 5 or 6 who won GFA. They were good before having class with me. So, let's say as a joke, the best way is to choose good students. I mean, obviously. But, and I'm sure, 100%, I mean, like most of them, and probably all of them, they would have done the same thing. Maybe different, for sure differently, but they would have done something great without me. So, the way to judge a teacher is not with those guys. I mean, all those guys, they were playing amazing when they were young. When they arrived to me, they were good yet. The best way to judge a teacher is to see what they do with all the other students. So with all the other students who are not necessarily like them. And so this is modesty, but it's not at all, because I think I managed to do an interesting job with many students, and a lot of people that, a lot of students that people at least in US don't know. And I think I do a good job, because Because I'm very involved with the teaching. I like a lot to teach, and I like from the beginning. When I was teaching to kids during many years, I really like it from the beginning. I really like it, and the kids I was teaching, they were not genius, believe me, but I really like that. So I like that. I spend a lot of time doing that. It's not the second choice after the concert, because I would say this is the first choice. And the concert definitely the second choice, and I really say that for 20 years. So it's not because now I have a lot of good students, I say that. All the time, if I had to choose, it would have been teaching.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, now to teach at this level, I need also to be able to play and to do concert maybe. But, and let's say that this is also maybe something a little bit specific. There are other people like me, but there are a lot of people who like a lot teaching, but they prefer performing. I have talked with a lot of people, and they are great teachers, and they like teaching, but they still prefer performing. Mm-hmm. So they were this, and also because I was living in Paris. So Paris is a very important city, very cultural, and for some reason, I started to have some students, and they were good, and we did good work, and after that, all the others came. That's how.
Mm-hmm. Okay, great. What makes a complete musician, from your perspective?
I mean, it's impossible for me to understand, to know that. I would love to say some things, but I always see exception. I mean, I've seen some quite stupid people playing amazing. I've seen also people without knowledge who play really good. I've seen the opposite also. I mean, there's no rules, I would say. I mean, really, I've seen some people. When I say stupid, it's stupid to say stupid, but without knowledge for sure. Mm-hmm. I really had even some students who don't know anything about classical, who don't have a great interest about listening classical, and they just play good, and nobody would be able to tell that. And when I was young, I was thinking that if somebody doesn't know anything about classical or has no interest, somehow he will not play good. But it's not true. I mean, that I am 100% it's not true. Some people might say, oh, you know, to be a great musician, you need to be able to improvise, you need to know how to analyze, but it's bullshit. It's not true. I mean, this is like a urban legend. Like you say, okay, if you do good things in your life, life will be good for you. I mean, it's not true. Or if you have talent, everybody will know that you have talent. It's not true. I mean, we're still having this kind of legend that if you are great, people will know it. Of course not. I know tons of people who are great and nobody knows that. And I know everybody knows some people who are not great and everybody like them. TV and whatever. So, same thing with the music. I mean, I don't see any rules.
Okay, cool.
It's depressing somehow.
What is it?
It's depressing that you teach for 20 years and you don't see any rules, but that's how it is.
Okay, great. Let's conclude with a little tech talk. We always like to ask, like, you play the same guitar for 17 years.
Yeah.
Could you tell us a little bit about your equipment, strings you play, guitar, and why? And
so I play the same guitar, which is a Smallman 2000, for 17 years. Actually, I had the idea to buy Smallman after GFA, so I won GFA in 97, and I did the tour in 98, and I've been to New York in the guitar salon. You know, I did directly after GFA. Actually. Directly after GFA, I changed my plane ticket and spent 1 week in New York, actually spending all the money from the GFA price. But I was very happy, so I visited the guitar salon and I tried the Smallman. And you know, I wanted to try the Smallman because this is John Williams' guitar. And I really like it, except it was like super expensive. And after that, by different circumstances, I had a recommendation by Williams. The story is kind of funny. I record on the CD Dogson Fantasy Division by Dogson, and he came to Paris. I wasn't in Paris. One of my friends gave a CD, and I sent him a CD at the same time. I didn't know, so he had 2 CDs. So he proposed me to give 1 CD to Williams. So he gave 1 CD to Williams, and Williams wrote me something nice about the CD. So I wrote him back saying, "Can you do a recommendation for Smallman guitar?" And I have the Smallman very quickly. So that's how I play.
Wow.
And yeah, since I really like a lot the guitar, there is everything not everything, what I was looking for at least 17 years ago. And I'm still very happy with that. I feel very comfortable. I like it. I don't feel tired with that. Recently, I bought a Fleta 78 that I use in duo because I'm playing now duo antipode with Natalia Lipinskaya. So she has a more traditional guitar than me, and with the Smallman doesn't work. So I will play in duo with the Fleta. So that's the guitar I use. Now I'm much more interested about guitar than I was 17 years ago. 17 years ago I wasn't very interested about the instrument. I guess I was totally crazy about piano, and I was thinking, okay, let's consider the guitar as a piano. So, the pianists, they have to play different piano than they play. I was all the time playing with my guitar, but I was less interested about how to build the guitar. Now I'm more interested. Maybe this is why I bought the Fleta. And for the string, I use Savarez for ages, 25 years, maybe more. I mean, they support me, they gave me strings, they help me, they are very nice. I mean, not just in the business part. The business part is the business part, but the guy who's running Savarez, Bernard Maillot, I always feel very uncomfortable with business relation, and I don't feel at all uncomfortable with him. And I like the string.
Great, wonderful. On that note, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.